Alright, so in this video, we're going to get into some actual gameplay. The formation that I really like to use, and you can use really any formation in this playbook that I go over as your base formation. Doesn't really matter, but I personally really like Singleback wide trips. It's just what I'm comfortable in. And I've been playing under center for years, so it's just the best for me personally. So you can use whatever you want. But the play we're going to be going over in this video is actually going to be 4 verticals. Now, you're probably thinking 4 verticals, that's such a really basic play, and noobs run that. Well, this is a special 4 verticals. And just because 4 verticals is kind of a newbie play, doesn't mean it can't be good. So I'm going to call this 4 verts, and to simulate the cover 0 type coverage that we're seeing, I'm going to call cover 1 hole, but I'm not going to blitz because I'll never get passes off in practice mode. I'm not trying to show, protection schemes, all that stuff. I'm trying to show you really the route concepts that will beat these coverages. Right? So let's call the hole press or dirties. All right. So the first thing to notice, and the reason I said that this 4 verticals is special, is Mike Williams is on an outside release streak route. Now, Mike Williams is probably not the best guy to do this with. I could do this with Devontae Adams, but Devontae has like 499 overall stats, and I kind of wanted to do it with somebody who wasn't quite as good to show that it still works. But with Devontae Adams, he absolutely cooks. As long as you have a better deep route running rating than the corner you're going against, and I think maybe release rating comes into to play as well. They butt up against the man coverage rating and the press rating of the defensive back, then you will get an unbumpable streak. Go ahead and just throw this. I didn't mean to do that, but to throw it away. Somehow throw it to X. So let's take a look at the instant replay real quick. So you'll notice no press. That's the first part in beat man coverage. If you can get no press, that's a fantastic start. That's why a lot of people are running compression, because there's certain motions and stuff you can do that cause the defensive backs to misalign and not press. Or people will motion snap, slants, drags, things of that nature. So in the previous video, we talked about shading up and down, right? You don't know right away by looking at this if I've shaded up or down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a curl route out here. So now we take care of both up shade and down shade. If they shade up, we can hit the curl route. You'll see no press on the receiver in the slot if they shade up. If they shade down, you'll see the kind of whiff animation that you get with a shade down, and then we can throw over the top of the streak. But we want to cover both bases here. So at the snap of the ball, this is no shade, by the way. Okay, so we see that. He gets that outside release route. Now, he's not the fastest wide receiver, Mike Williams. If you have a fast guy, you can lob this thing. I'm talking about, like, if you have Tyreek Hill, you can cook. But for the purpose of this next video that I'm going to be showing you how to throw a special pass, we need a tall guy. We need a guy with good spec catch and deep route running, like I mentioned in the other. So, got this. Here's what your lob looks like. I like swerving inside a little bit, and then you go for that catch. That'll probably scare your opponent off of playing press man most of the time when they see this formation. Now, if they end up shading up, say, you're saying, hey, well, I don't know if they're shading up or shading down before the snap. Here's your tell, right? No press in the slot. That's shade up, all right? The other route's pretty self-explanatory. I tend to kind of freeball it when I play. You can do whatever you want. If you slant, drag over here, comeback route, another curl route, halfback route will go out eventually. I like to keep, I like to keep the halfback on that blue route. If there's a blitz, he will pick it up. And there's a funny little nuance to like a cover 0 blitz. If you block this halfback, then whoever was guarding the halfback will go double team the nearest route. But if you keep him on the blue route, he will hover over the line and just wait for him to go out, even though he never goes out. So I like keeping the blue routes in for that specific reason. Just take a look at the other routes and kind of how they get open. Now, the reason that I said in the initial video that we like a tight end with mid and elite, now this guy doesn't have it, but when you get mid and elite and there's somebody covering him, like a defensive back, linebacker, doesn't matter, on the break of this route, he gets a lot more separation, right? Halfback, as the route goes out, it's tough for them to cover that in man coverage with either a user or, just having a default guy there. Now, the other thing that you can do is, with abilities, is have the halfback apprentice. That'll get you your angle routes. That'll get you your table routes. That can be helpful in this playbook too. I've tried running it. It's pretty good. Currently, there's only one running back in Mutt that gets it, and it's that Nakeem Hines. I think he's kind of bad, if I'm being honest. So I don't really use him. I went back to just like a standard halfback and just kept these routes in. Or you can just do, out routes and in routes. Now you can get creative with the motions and stuff. You can motion the halfback out of the backfield. It's kind of, risky if you're going up against cover zero, but if you understand who's guarding who, where they are, spacing out, the halfback can actually be really. Now, it's pretty self-explanatory on how to beat zone coverage with this play. Great zone beater. Always has been. Cover 3. Cover 3, you've got the seam. If they're playing, so I just shaded underneath for hard flats, just to get this off quick. You got the seam. Pretty easy. If there's a guy coming close to guarding it, you can high point that. The other thing you can do with this outside release route is you can precision pass this down and away. So that's about, I would say it's probably about a 4 o'clock freeform pass, bullet pass. Real easy, just because he kind of stutters, right at the onset of the route. This guy is reading the vertical route in the seam, so he'll drop back a little bit further. And then just get creative with it. If you want to do different setups, if you see a guy using the slot, just put a smoke screen out there. Smoke screens are good. The crossing route, still good to the tight end. It's pretty obvious once he clears the hook zones, and I probably shouldn't even be on that linebacker, but that's what it'll look like. I don't want to break it down too much. Super easy. Let's go take a look at cover 2. Tampa 2. Excuse me, that's not Tampa 2. So Tampa 2, you'll have your flats out here, and this is a non-base aligned cover 2, so a lot of times you get this chuck out here on the outside receiver. On the wide side of the field, you can hit that cover 2 hole between the safety and the corner. Precision, freeform, whatever you want to call it, boom. Same thing with the seam, same thing with the crossing route. Not going to get too much into it. Cover 4 will, do a decent job against this, but once this streak clears the flat zone, you can either freeform or high ball to the seam and still get completion. So, and then eventually the tight end route will come open. But you probably won't have that much time knowing how good the pass rush is currently. So that's the first play we use. We use it to beat man, we use it to beat zone. I've showed you how to do both. In the next video, I'm going to show you that special passing tip that I mentioned before. And this will definitely catch your opponent off guard. So this will definitely take your game to the next level. Check out the next video for the back shoulder fade.